So today, you're going to get a crash course. I mean a crash course because he's going to keep, I'm going to go over time easily, but on DCWF, but you'll see how it applies, because in the DCWF is both an output to academia, but an input as well. And as I walk through it, you'll see where you fit and why it's important, and why the relationship of what myself, Matt Eisner, does with Ms. Hadid's office is, it's an inoperable, and it's the only way to work. But the DCWF is the brick of the house. It is the foundation, and everything else is built on it. All right, so the DCWF is the organizing principle of everything we do. It is for us to go way beyond your MOS or your occupational skill, because one each, Lieutenant Rodriguez is 17 Alpha, will perform program manager when he's a lieutenant, but he may be a JNOC floor director at one point, he may be a tech specialist in another spot. And so the 17 Alpha or a 2210 doesn't tell me enough about what you're doing. We need to get to the granularity of what the work is being performed. And the DCWF does that. Those codes give us that, and they're adaptable and agile to what's happening in the environment. So it's a lot more for us than to go beyond your MOS or your occupational skills. Key fact, you know how many occupational series are coded? You would think about 5 or 6, right? 2210, 1560. 205 different occupational skills have a cyber code. Because you know when you hire civilians, sometimes the PD isn't right, like Mr. Gorak mentioned there. And we know that, but we care about the work being performed. What are you doing? What is the work happening, so we can really get a baseline of fidelity of the skills that's needed to meet the mission. When you have a work role, then you understand what proficiency level you're operating at. So I am a tech specialist, 1H Lieutenant Rodriguez at the McCog, but I'm probably at that point operating at a basic level, right? I just got that yellow bar on. I probably don't know, I could probably find a restroom at that point, right? But as I mature through the ranks and I get to maybe a JCU, or I get to Cybercom's, JNOC floor, I'm probably serving in a work role that's in an advanced level. So you understand your work role, you understand your proficiency. If you know those two things, then you can understand your development pathway, where to go. What does it take? What education or training or schooling or degree, see how I tied that back in? That you need to be developed. My favorite part, if I know your work role and I know your development and I know that it's coded in your manpower and authoritative systems, I can pull the data, which means we can get the analytics. So those three key pieces together, that's why the work role is so important to us, because it drives towards a ready and dominant workforce that the world has not seen. And that's where we're trying to get to, and that is what the principle of line 8140 is. It's not just a check in the box, it's not compliance, it's about building a workforce that's most dominant in the world.
So who do work roles apply to?
All civilians, military, and contractors who perform in the cyber operation space. If you're doing any form of cyber operations, and I'm going to show you the different expand of cyber, because it's not just OCO and DCO, it's not just IT, it's not just cybersecurity, it's also data, AI, software engineering, and those enablers, like me, myself, cyber workforce data analyst, or a program manager, or the governance and policy and academic support. So, but wait, we're going to get there, because it gets more exciting as built. So, look at the work roles. When I was the Marine Corps Enterprise Cyber Workforce Manager, when I left command, and then I put on this uniform, left the other uniform, my first job was the Marine Corps Cyber Workforce Manager. And at the time, there was only 54 work roles. The thing has grown. Mr. Gorak is in line. As the information environment expands, we add work roles. There are 74 now, and you can see the different elements. There's the red team specialist, the host analyst and network analyst that just add by Cybercom, the system administrator that we just updated the KSOTs. This framework is agile and responsive to what is happening in the environment. This framework has the knowledge, skills, and abilities for every of those tasks. Those are the things that are tying at the academic level of what we're trying to get students to be. This is why these work roles have a greater fidelity than 17 Alpha, or 25 Bravo, or 2210 for the civilian. This really gets you the fidelity of the work being performed. And Gorak doesn't lie. He pushes us to change these pretty fast. And so we've already had 4 changes in the last SWIM-B, and there's Space Force has already beaten up Matt Eisner for some more to get in there. We're seeing the CDAO office trying to update those as well. We are keeping this up to date with what's happening out in the battle space. All right, so what do I use this? How do I qualify? Well, if you were in 8570 land, if you remember that, it was just, you get a Sec Plus and you high five. And I can tell you when I was the Marine Corps Enterprise Manager, that didn't work because Lance Corporals can't test their way out of anything. But they're pretty good on the keyboard. So we had it wrong. This gets at a better foundational knowledge. What is the baseline knowledge that every work role should have? And you can do it several ways. You can do it through education. Look at that, I tied it in education. This is why we tie over there. You can do it through the training, whether you were at Fort Gordon or down at Concess or down at Florida. You know all the schools. You can do it that way. Or you can do it through personal certification. Yes, certification is still a part of it, whether it's Sec Plus, CISP, CCNA, you name them. Now you have different pathways. The glory of 8140 is that it's a common lexicon. So a 411 is a 411 in the Air Force, is a 411 in the Army, is a 411 in the Corps, is a 411 up in OSD. Those foundationals, that baseline lexicon is the same. And you can have that confidence. So if I, for some reason, left, I'm not leaving, no. And I went somewhere else, and you would be assured that I have that baseline foundational qualifications. You would be rest assured because we're all using the same base level. And so that's what our office does. And we work with CAO office, we work with certifies to make sure you have that. You the commands have the second part. So we make sure you have the foundational, and then you make sure they can do the job. Because even though I'm a 411, say at 9th Comm Squadron and the Air Force, but if I left to the Marine Corps and I went to the McCog there, the Marine Corps and the Air Force, the way they operate their networks is a little different, right? So we need that second layer. What is the on-the-job residential qualification? That is where the services come in. Some folks call it JQRs, PSQs, training and readiness events, all the same. So foundational, can you perform the mission? And then are you always continuous professional development? That's how we see readiness. That's why 8140 is so powerful, because it gets you that greater fidelity. It's not just a compliance. We're really talking about informing readiness.
Alfredo, 1 minute and then questions.
Okay. I'm rolling through it, and this is what the qualification matrix looks like. So if you ever went to Matt Eisner's shop, you would see this for every work role, and you would see degrees and certs. All right, I got 1 minute, so I got 2 slides left to go. Why is that important to me and everyone else? Is because that work role code I can pull from every authoritative source data. I can build off the work role, and I can get vacancy rates, attrition, qualification readiness stats. These stats inform where the next degrees should be. These stats inform what future talent we need. That's why we go after work roles and not after MOS and AUX series. Because now we can get to a degree of fidelity. We can understand that we need system administrators, not just signal officers. That doesn't help. We need system administrators, or we need software developers. We can get down and we can provide the academic institutions that granularity to help us build the future workforce. And my last pitch, what are we doing with readiness? We just started. The 54% that I yelled at from Mr. Gorak, that started in February. We were grading the cybersecurity element. We're now expanding. I'm going to grade the cybersecurity, IT, and enablers element, and then I'm going to expand to the effects and data and AI, and I'm just going to ask for not just foundational, but do you understand your mission? You're on the job. Those two, those metrics being reported at up to senior leadership will help drive resources and training and decision, and that's why this is so powerful. I'll take your questions, and that is your crash course on DCWF.
Can I make a comment instead of asking a question?
I love it.
This is a phenomenal work frame. You guys have done a great job in developing this, and you are ahead of the game, especially when it comes to AI and some other fields. So the work that you guys do is the foundation for what is it that we are going to continue or take through academia and back into the workforce. So thank you for you guys' hard work.
Team effort. No.
Any other questions?
What up, man?
Okay, thank you. Oh, one more.
Yeah.
You're a reservist. Are you able to incorporate stuff you do in your civilian job into like your military work roles?
Yes. Yeah. That education, when you look at Matt Eisner's qualification matrices, If you have some of those certs already of the education, that is foundational. You can use those. You can use that. Whether you got it when you were in the civilian or you got it in your MOS time, it still counts. But cert's a cert. Doesn't matter where you got it. As long as you have the right one for the work role.
Okay, thank you.
All right.